Hey, it's Jack from Alphacharts with a state of the market video. Today is January 11th, 2025. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, thank you all for watching the video. If you haven't done so, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on X at Alphacharts365. This is where I post content all week long, almost always market related, um, or things I find interesting. Also, I do have a subscriber group on X. Now, this is $10 a month, but you get a ton of content, including an in-depth market video just for subscribers with an extended watch list. This usually runs about an hour or so. I do a shorter focus list video that same day for my favorite, usually 4 or 5 stocks, with where I would buy and sell and hold and how I would trade it. We do midweek videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, market notes on Sundays and Thursdays as well, annotated chart setups and all those focus list videos and anything else that I'm considering to buy. Daily posts just for subscribers, chart requests, and we usually do about once a month members live stream. So you get all that for only $10 a month. It's really the best deal out there. I don't tell you to buy or sell, just kind of what I'm doing and how I'm seeing the market. But the feedback on the subscription has been awesome. People are really feel like that's helping them move along their trading career at a much faster clip, as opposed to trying to take years and years and years to struggle through it. Also, a lot of people are already seasoned traders on this, and I've had so much content feedback about how much they appreciate having another voice to see what somebody else is doing at the same time, that's completely honest and transparent. So if you're interested, it's $10 a month, super easy. It's again month to month, so there's no contracts. Just click the subscribe button on X and you're in. If you're not an X user and you only use YouTube, that's absolutely fine because I put all the video stuff, as you can see here, as well as annotated charts, in the for YouTube members. So you would click join there. It's same price, $10 a month, and that's for the YouTube members. And again, we've done, they've had great feedback for that. They get the live streams and everything else. They get annotated charts. I communicate with them through the community tab. So if you are a YouTube member, make sure you're always checking that community tab because that's where we are able to communicate back and forth. And again, so if you're YouTube only, click join there. If you're X, click join here, and we'll see you soon. All right, let's get into these charts. SPY. So SPY has this pattern, something that we've been watching. I'll show you one of my dashboards I share usually only with subscribers, but we'll share it with you guys right now for a second. We were cautious. This is kind of like my level of caution. We started to get cautious back in here. This is December 12th. And we were right to be cautious throughout this process, which means a higher cash level and lower exposure to stocks. We actually were a little bit short yesterday, and for good reason, because we started seeing lower highs and lower lows, and we are still seeing that. And that's the definition of a downtrend, from this spot right there. We are under the VWAP from the Trump bump, which is right there, underneath the 50-day. Moving averages are starting to cross. The power trend is now off on the SPY. As you see from here, power trend is off. We're seeing distribution show up on the charts. So this is all stuff that is in the past and we've been involved in, and really I've been almost all cash all year so far, ending last year into this year. Now, where can we go from here though, right? Well, that much we don't know for sure. It's interesting that this trend line, it did touch it again, and every time we touch this trend line, we did get a bounce. So, I mean, for me, I'm not looking to short here, put on new shorts or anything like that. I'm not currently short either. I sold my shorts on Friday. And then we'll see what happens if we get that bounce. If the 50-day which I think if there's going to be a lower high, this 594, 595 area is where that lower high would probably take place. Somewhere around there, maybe around 598, somewhere in here, right? Maybe it's up to the 50, and then we'll see, right? We'll see. Does it break through it and make a higher high, or does it make another lower high and we break the trend line and maybe the 200-day moving average is in play? That remains to be seen. But on the week, it just wasn't a good week. It was down almost 2%, right? Making this topping pattern. RSP was down 1.76, so we're about the same. You see it has a very similar-ish topping pattern. Not as easy to see for Head and Shoulders because the neckline isn't as clean. I could probably put a diagonal right there, and it's right near that 200-day moving average. So, I think the 200-day will come into importance here, a break of that, and I think that we're likely to come down here in the equal weighted. Um, we'll see. Is this the start of a waterfall decline? Uh, we don't know. My gut tells me probably not, that we're going to get some sort of bounce just because of how far extended we are from moving averages and stuff. But again, we just don't know. Looking at the Qs, it just lost the 50-day right here. It's still technically in a power trend, but we'll see how long that lasts for. And it is making lower highs and lower lows. It's still in a downtrend underneath the Trump bump, right? Underneath a lot of moving averages. On the week, it was down 2%, 2.19%, 2.19. Again, just doesn't look real good, right? That's not just not a good look. Is this some sort of flag? Maybe. Maybe it is, but I still think that it needs to, at the very least, start to retake these short-term moving averages. Equal weighted Qs were down 1.84, so close enough. They did tag the 200-day again, right? So 200-day is now very flat on the equal weighted Qs. And again, looking at the big picture, let's just go back here for a second. Look at this big picture. We have this beautiful breakout, right? Right here from a nice base. And now are technically, I look at this at retesting that breakout. So it's not, equal weighted Qs haven't been, um, aren't dead to me yet, right? Which means the Qs aren't dead to me yet. Now they lose 89, close below the 200-day moving average, and they lose 89. That's a different story. So we're real close. We're right there on support or potential support, right? In that zone. But for me, it's 89. 89 to 90 has been my area for the equal weighted Qs going back, at least a year, if not longer, right? Being that this was an important area as well. Anyway, so this is super important. Flat 50-day. We'll see what happens here as it's touching the 200. Mid caps, they look almost exactly the same as everything else we just kind of talked about right there at potential support. They were down 1.65 on the week. What's the low there? That's interesting. What's the low is 56222? Yeah, so it went bearish outside. That's never good. IWM was down 3.39. Ay, ay, ay. No reason to be involved in IWM. Hasn't been in a really long time. Maybe say on the Trump bump you tried something as it retook, but that may be the only spot, and then you had to get out of it here. Um, but yeah, it's coming back, tagging that 200-day as well. Again, a little bit of buying pressure there. So we'll see what happens. It's extended from the 50. Yeah, I think we get an early week bounce. I mean, based on these charts, right? That's what it looks like to me. Let's look at these individual charts. XLF is breaking down. I was actually long FAZ. I actually sold it, even though this may have some more in it to this 200-day. Shorting's hard. I'm not a big fan of shorting. So I had a little bit of profit. I took it as it was breaking down. Maybe it goes more, maybe it doesn't. It's fine. But um, yeah, I think this, we may have a day with the 200-day, maybe, and maybe we don't. Maybe it just comes up to 45-ish, maybe it rebounds from here. But not a good look underneath the 50-day. That's the more important thing we're doing with this. Down 2.65 on the week. Just doesn't look good, right? SMH, lost the 50-day again. So, this is now becoming in a more important area, right? And now it's just kind of moved up to this area a little bit. So they're both important. But the bigger is this area, right? So we'll see how that happens. The 50 and the 200 day now are real close, right? They're only 6 points apart, about roughly 6 points apart. That's nothing on a $250, ETF. So we'll see how that goes. What's it? Let's see. They're roughly, this is rough, 2.25%. So that's could be a 1 day's movement, right? So anyway, we'll see. SMA, so not looking good. Um, unless it rebounds, right? Unless we get a rebound here, but really there's no direction, and there hasn't been a direction. And how do we know that? We have a flat 50-day and a flattening 200-day, right? No direction. Going back 200 days was here, right? And so we haven't really gone that far in those 200 days. XSD, right? So let's see on the weekly. On the weekly, semis were down 1.88, in line with the market. So the equal weights was down 3.35. That's a little bit extended to the downside. A little more, it got hit a little bit more this week. Yeah, tried to go and just couldn't, right? But still above the 50-day. That's interesting. It's the first thing we've talked about above the 50-day. So equal weighted semis holding up a little bit better, even though it was a worse week for them. IYT, still underneath the 50-day, did hold the 200-day. So that gives us hope that maybe these other indexes may start to hold the 200-day as well. We'll see. Now, they're not out of the woods yet, and they're still under a 50-day, and they're still, to me, this still looks kind of like a bear flag, to be honest with you, right? That's kind of something like that. So, break of this and flat 200 day, that's never good. Bigger picture, it was technically a false breakout. Now it's retesting from the bottom. Yeah, if this breaks down from here, you have another leg lower and it just shows that everything's weak. XTN, similar enough. Was only down 0.29 though on the week. So transport's still a little bit better this week, right? Surprisingly. And housing. Still really, really rough on the week. They were down 2.58, so a little bit more than the general market. You're about to get that, what they call a death cross or whatever they call the 50 crossing the 200 day. 200 days actually starting to curve lower. Housing's dead. Housing's dead. Housing's going to be dead for a while probably, unless something changes, right? I think this 97 area, that's a big area. We may see a pretty good sized bounce if things get so extended where it gets down to 97 and things don't catch up to the moving average. Yeah, and I don't like this is not what I would consider a bear flag because it's pointing down. Bear flag should be pointing up. IYT, see how it's going up like that? That's a bear flag to me, right? This is not a bear flag. This is just some just organized selling, right? That's what this is. Nothing crazy, nothing capitulatory, just organized selling. And I think we get to this 100-ish area, so this is an XHB. That's that. So, yeah, everything's still weak. I think that maybe we get a bounce next week early on. Maybe we don't. That's just my guess, just because of how far we've gone and where we are in relation to some of the moving averages and things of that nature, right? We made the lower low on a lot of places. We're near the 200-day in a lot of areas. And this is near the 200-day here on support. This would be bouncy area. Again, if we do, great. If we don't, that can happen too. This is a high cash type of market, in my opinion, because we're not getting a strong move to one direction. It's more of a choppy sideways move at this point than it is be aggressively in a direction market. That could change. That could change very quickly, but that's just the way that I'm seeing this market. So again, high cash, you want to try a few things alongside, I'd keep it really, really small. You want to try a few things on the short side, I would manage my risk and keep it small. And in the end, be ready for when the market does turn. Anyway, if you're interested in more commentary like this that may help you along your way, keep you out of trouble and save your account some from losing some money, I think a lot of my members have done a good job of retaining their accounts during this type of market. That's what we do with some of these this directional chart that I share with them, right? So if that can help you, click join, subscribe, join. and we'll see you soon. You all have a great day. Take care.